sat down last night and I watched the film The Unlikely Pilgrimage of Harold Fry. It's an English film, a British film, starring Jim Broadbent. But is it any good? That's what we're going to talk about here and now. So I'm going to bring you my unlikely review for The Unlikely Pilgrimage of Harold Fry, who took me on this journey. Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Welcome to another film review. Yeah, so I sat down last night and I watched this film. Every now and then I like to watch a film that isn't action, isn't explosions, isn't special effects, that is a nice, or possibly a nice drama, something that's character driven, that's story driven, that has emotion, that has emotional beats, that has a journey to it and something to say. And that led me to this movie here, The Unlikely Pilgrimage of Harold Fry. I knew nothing about this film whatsoever. It is based on a book or a novel that was written in 2012 by Rachel Joyce, who is the writer of this film. The film is directed by Hetty McDonald. It stars Jim Broadbent as the title character, Harold Fry, and Penelope Wilton as Maureen, his wife. Jim Broadbent is an actor who's synonymous with British cinema, British theatre. He's been in loads of stuff. He's been in Only Fools and Horses. He was Slater, the detective. He was in Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. He was in Hot Fuzz as the police, the police sergeant in, or whatever he was, the police commander, captain in the little town that he went to. Penelope Wilton, another actress synonymous with British TV, film and theatre. She's been in things like Doctor Who as the Prime Minister. She was the lady on the bench in Ricky Gervais's Afterlife TV show. She's been in plenty of stuff, and she's also been in one of the Cornetto trilogy films herself. But this film here, is it any good? What's it about? So, this film here, it starts off, we're introduced to the character of Harold Fry and his wife Maureen. They're in their little house, and he gets a letter. He opens this letter up, and it's from a lady that he used to work with years ago, a lady that he used to drive home when he used to work in a brewery. And she's in a hospice. She's in a hospice dying of cancer. And he doesn't know what to do. Doesn't know what to do about it. He doesn't know what to write as a response, as a letter of response. But he does. He writes a quick little note in a card, and he walks off to go and post it. And he gets to the post box. He carries on walking. He gets to the post office. He carries on walking. He gets to the petrol station. He buys some milk. And he has a conversation with the girl behind the counter. She notices the letter, says something. He says about what's going on. And she says about how she helped her aunt that was dying with cancer just by having faith. I don't mean in the spiritual sense, in that sort of a sense. So he goes on this journey. He starts to go on this journey. He feels that he has to walk to this woman in the hospice. She's 500 miles away now. She's living elsewhere. He doesn't want to get the train. He doesn't want to drive. He has to walk. He phones up the hospice and he says, I am coming. And all the while that I am walking, getting closer to you, that she knows that there's hope that he's coming. It'll keep her alive, kind of thing. So he starts on this pilgrimage. His wife doesn't know. He's left her behind. right? So she's wondering where he is and all this sort of thing. And he starts on this journey. He does ring her and he tells her. She ain't too happy about it. As the story progresses, we get this sort of Forrest Gump-esque centric story, but probably a bit inspired by Forrest Gump. You know, when Forrest Gump starts running and then people start joining him, this is what happens here. He starts walking and it gets into the news just by, he has interactions with different people along the way, and he's a very unassuming individual, an individual that has just let life pass him by, and he just feels the need to do something here and now. He has this urge to do it, and it has to be to walk to her. Like I said, he meets all these other different people along his journey, and he has these interactions with them, and very unassuming interactions. One of them actually is takes his photo, and the story gets in the paper. Other people up and down the country hear about his pilgrimage, and they come out to join him and support him, and all this. He doesn't really understand what's going on. He just wants to get to see this woman that's dying. Along the way, we get a lot of backstory to him and to his relationship with Maureen, his wife, and the fact that they have had a son back in the day, a young son, and there's problems bereft with him and this sort of a thing, and the truth of these backstories don't come out until the story of the film progresses on. He meets a young boy that he sees his son in him, is the first person to join him on his pilgrimage and all this sort of a thing, and you know, it's a wonderful, wonderful film. Hour and 50 minutes, just shy thereof. It didn't feel it. This is the sort of film that we do great in this country. It really is. Like I said, there's no flashbang wallop. This is story-driven drama. And this is emotional, heartfelt, and you know, it's about reviewing personal relationships, and it's very thought-provoking, and it's about the impacts, the small impacts, you know, when we have small interactions with people, the impacts that those interactions have on other people, and this sort of a thing. It truly is a really good film. I mean, I don't want to go into any more depth about the story or what happens when he gets to his location, if indeed he does get to his location, that sort of thing. What happens to him and his wife, because there's some history there that's unresolved and all this sort of thing. But, you know, you've got a magnificent performance in Jim Broadbent in this film. There were parts of this film that I had to hold back a tear or two. And not that there's anything overly emotional going on in those scenes. It's just you feel for this fella, and you fall in love with him as a character, and you're on that journey with him. You're on this pilgrimage with him throughout the duration of this film. And you want to see what happens, and you want to see the backstories of his life, and what has happened to his life, and why things have occurred, and this sort of a thing. And it's a really strong film. The only negative I would have about this film is the character of Maureen, his wife, played by Penelope Wilton. She doesn't come across as very nice to him. As not that she isn't. There is, like I said, a backstory, but she was annoying me. You know, it was like he had to ask her for permission to do what he's doing. He had to seek out that permission, like he's under the thumb or something. I'm thinking, you're a man, just, you know, if you need to do this, you need to do it. She needs to be supporting you in your decisions. That's the only area of the film. That character was somewhat agitating me in how she was reacting to him. But like I said, there is a reason that we find out as the story progresses. It's a beautifully shot film. It shows a lot of the English landscape. It shows, you know, you see the English weather at its best, at its worst. It's just a lovely, lovely film. And it really portrays, you know, proper English gentlemen, how they are, and, you know, their emotions being sort of more withheld, shall we say, and that sort of a thing. It's just, I had a wonderful time with this film. I really did. It's a film that I would certainly pick up. If it gets a release on physical media, it was an emotional movie, and I really enjoyed it. What more can I say? Now, I don't expect this review to get many views, because people don't generally watch reviews for this type of a film. You know, it's a very unassuming film, a film that lots of people would probably just pass by because it's not the next big thing in the cinema, or the next, you know, ain't the next superhero movie or Fast and the Furious movie, or horror movie. No, this is what cinema should be about, and this is what more films should be made akin to this, with that story, with that character, I don't mean that character, I mean with character, with story. A well-written, well-presented, thought-provoking, emotional, beautiful drama of a movie that leaves you with an emotional impact as a viewer.